You how easy it is to borrow a book and read it in your browser using the Sora app. In order to access the Sora app, you need to first start at the Lake George Elementary Library website. You're going to do that by typing in lakegeorgelmc.weebly.com. Once you get here, you're going to go to the resource page and you're going to scroll about 3/4 of the way down in the right-hand column, and then you will see ebooks and audiobooks. You're going to click on the top choice, which is the Sora app. And when you get here, it may look like this, but chances are you're going to have to it's going to look like this. And you're going to say, this is not your school, and you're going to switch schools. You're going to say, my school isn't listed, this down at the bottom here. You're going to click on that. And then you're going to type in Lake George. This part is a little confusing for our elementary users because it actually says Lake George High, but that is the one that you want to use. So you're going to say, this is my school, and then you can choose it from the list. Again, you only have to go through all those steps if you don't see this page when you first come in. The ultimate goal is to get to this page that allows you to click the drop-down arrow and find Lake George Central School District. Once I have it selected, I can click on the green tab, and it's going to authenticate it with my Google account. So I can click my Google email that I use at school, or my Gmail that I use at school, and it will log me right in. It may ask you for your username and password. I already have a book that I'm currently reading, so that's the first thing that pops up for me. Chances are when it pops up for you, you're going to see the first page, and on that page, you can start to see some books that are available to read. If you scroll down a little, you can start to see the popular subjects that are listed here, and you could also search for a book over here under the search for a book option. You're going to click on whatever is of interest to you. I'm going to choose juvenile fiction, and you'll see a bunch of books come up. You'll get to see the book cover. It'll tell you can place a hold, read a sample, or add to a list. I'm going to scroll down until maybe I see one that is of interest to me. And once I do, I can click on that book. I've always wanted to read Breakout. I can click Borrow. And once I click Borrow, the book is going to pop right up in my browser and I can begin reading. You will see that there is a toolbar along the top. I can click on the 3 hamburgers, I would call it, and I can get options for formatting my text. I can search for words. I can go to a specific chapter. I can bookmark my page. I can look at my history. I can go to reading settings. Reading settings is probably what you want to help you in the beginning. Right here, it shows you the text size that's available right now. If I want to change that text size and maybe make it bigger because it's more helpful when it's bigger, I can just move the sliding scale. Maybe I want it to be smaller, and I could go that way. Once I get it set to where I want, you're good to go. Over here, you can change the lighting options. If you're reading at night, some people find this option to be really helpful. I prefer bright, so I'm going to stick with that one. And then if you want to change the font, you can do that here as well. I like the publisher's default for this book particularly, so I'm going to choose that one for myself, but you can do it whatever suits you best. Once you're done with all those, you can push done, and at any moment if you want to get back to that, you can push the down arrow on your keyboard and that will pop back up. When I am actually reading my text, I'll just double click on it here, and I'm reading along and I want to either take a note or look up a word. If I hold my cursor on a word, it will highlight it. I can push define if I want it to define the word for me. And when I'm done, I'm going to push done. I'll go back. If I want to hold my finger on the cursor on the word, I can push highlight and it will highlight this word for me. Maybe I'm reading through and there's words that I want to go back to later or I want to ask my teacher about. I can highlight them and I can take a note and I might say, is this the same as observations in science? And I would just have a note there so I would know what I wanted to ask my teacher. and I can push done. When I want to turn the page, I can push the arrow key to the side and it will just turn the pages for me. At any time, if I want to go back to close out and stop where I am, I clicked on the bottom of the page and this popped up and I can close, and I will have it always in my shelf to go back to later if I want to read. You can see right here, it's in my shelf. And I can just open book and it will bring me right back to where I left off. Or I could, if I didn't like the book or if I had to return it, I could go to options and I could return my book. There's also the notes and highlights options where I can see what it is I took notes on if I want to share those with my teacher. And I have many options for sharing those notes somewhere else, including to my Google Drive. And that is how you can easily use Sora to read right in your browser. I challenge you to try it out for yourself.